I was I was glancing at an article in Wikipedia to do with Buddhism and science. I get a little irritated when people try to, it's usually Buddhists, try to validate Buddhist teaching in the light of scientific understanding. It should be the other way around. We should be validating scientific understanding in terms of Buddhist teaching. It's a completely irrelevant exercise. One thing though, I would say that Buddhism and science have in common, and we're talking about pure science, not the development of technology for the sake of control. We're talking about the spirit of inquiry. Buddhism, like science, is empirical. And I would make a case for saying that Buddhism is actually more empirical than science, because science makes certain basic assumptions, just like religion does, and proceeds in accordance with these assumptions. Occasionally it finds it might have to overturn these assumptions, which is to science's credit. But in Buddhism, all assumptions are questioned. And it's in this questioning, in this empirical approach, that we reach liberation. What am I talking about? Is this actually the case? Well, let's have a go. As enlightenment practitioners, this is what we do. My situation is here, in this room. Perhaps your situation is similar. You're listening to this in your room, perhaps your bedroom, perhaps sitting on a chair, or on a bed, or lying on a bed. So let's make certain assumptions. I'll have to make certain assumptions about your situation. But I really need to address my situation. And the reason I'm making assumptions about your situation is because I want you to address your situation. I want you to come back to your situation. Your situation as you're sitting or lying there listening to these words. We're being empirical, which means we are examining what is, not assumptions. So I'll do this for my situation, but I'll be reminding you to do it for your situation too. So I was getting ready to talk about the next verse in this series, verse 526. And I'm a little concerned this verse is veering into philosophical areas, which I don't want to go into. I want to come back. I want to apply these verses to our immediate situation. Now, my immediate situation, there are a few things going on to do with my body and my mood. Usually these things are interrelated. My situation is actually quite good because I've managed to free up a lot of time. I'm essentially on holiday and I've got time on my hands, time to get on with what I want to get on with, which is quite a responsibility in itself. But also I've got my habitual mood tone. It's somewhere in my torso. And it's a tone which inhibits me from opening up to liberation. So my challenge is to get beyond this mood tone. Perhaps your own mood tone is quite good. You're in generally a good mood. Again though, this is something you need to deal with. You need to get beyond. Unless this good mood is permanent, in which case you're doing pretty well and perhaps you should be doing the videos. But we need to go beyond mood tones. We need to go beyond our habitual mood tones and step back. Step back. Now, if you've listened to my videos before, you'll know what I'm going to say next. And it's tempting for me to just say it. But I don't want to say it unless it's happening. I don't want to just say the words. So let's apply our empirical process here and look beyond our moods to what else is happening here. Never mind what's happening out there. That's the world. Never mind what's happening in my thoughts, my feelings, my mood tone. That's all the world. That's what's happening. Is there anything else happening? Is there anything else happening? Right here, right now. This is what we have to ask ourselves as part of the empirical process. We've got the room, the world. I've got particular feelings going on in my body. Not too bad at the moment because I'm sitting in a comfortable position, but my legs have been causing problems, giving me mobility issues. I have trouble moving. My mood's a little bit apprehensive. I want to make the most of the day, and normally I just fritter it away. And I'm not really engaging with these teachings. But that's my mood, so we're looking beyond that to what else there is. And what there is what is saying these words. And from your end, there is what is hearing these words. Now there was a moment of stillness. Stillness. There's stillness in between these words. In that stillness, I wonder about you, but in that stillness, for me there's a sense of presence. There isn't just the world going on, there's the presence of the world. And for me, this opens up a new way of relating to this moment. A sense of presence. A sense of being. A sense of me. Not me as a psychological entity, but me as awareness. This is something beyond that which is defined by my mood tones. That which is defined by this ball of mood energy. And this is very wonderful. This is very wonderful. Being empirical doesn't mean operating from these moods. It means keeping on looking, keeping on observing, keeping on witnessing. And being empirical, well, from a scientific point of view, it normally means writing in a very objective way. But at this point, we cannot do this. We cannot communicate objectively anymore. We can only communicate poetically. This is where empiricism has led us. It's led us from a supposedly objective world to something subjective perhaps with a capital S. This subjectivity with a capital S is not opposed to the objective world, because the objective world is a reflection of it, is a projection of it. Am I being empirical still? Well, when you try to express what is truly going on, as I said, the language comes across as at best poetical, and more often than not, unfortunately, as somewhat paradoxical. So how has this gone for you? Can you detect this sense of presence? Or are you still caught up in your moods? Still caught up in your thoughts? Moods fuel thoughts, thoughts fuel moods. We'll hear more about this in a couple of verses' time. But can you come back to this silence? This awareness, I can now use this word awareness, which is aware of this so-called objectivity, this so-called objective world. So yes, now we can talk about this awareness that is hearing the words, that is perhaps looking at the video screen. So I probably ought to leave it at that, but really this was a way of easing us into verse 526, but I think I'd better leave that till the next video.